Going forward, it'll be 2, that'll be 100 for sure. What a magnificent effort by Greg Blewett.
Make that 100. Sensational century from James Brayshaw.
And that's it. That's a great shot. Up go the arms of Matthew Hayden. That is the world record.
Hey everybody, welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket, and today we are going through a 3-0 series whitewash by Australia. We're going through some of the amazing performances coming out of that Adelaide Test, especially by a couple of local boys. We're going to talk about Nathan Lyon getting injured and what's going to happen for the Melbourne Test match, and then we're going to strip back the Poms. My God, what is going on there? We're going to find out who they potentially could play in the Melbourne Test, and also what's on the boys' radar. And speaking of the boys, I can see a very content-looking Matty Hayden. He's got his body of work done. He's about to head to Stratty, and Bluey's remained in Adelaide, of course. How are you, boys?
Nice shirt, Haydos, too.
Yeah.
Just getting into the festivities, Blue Dog.
You look like you are.
My RB Stella Christmas shirt, and I'll be on the mower in about half an hour after this show, because since I've been away down to Adelaide, it's fair dinkum going about 8 inches. So, James, you made your way. Everything was all right with flights and that sort of thing, getting down to your beach house?
Nope.
No.
Firstly, the rain delay fried me, because if we hadn't wasted 39 minutes not playing cricket when we should have been playing, the game
he
would
was
have been
pretty happy
over
about that too, Blue, wasn't he?
in time for me to get the flight that I was booked on, but they decided to go off the ground, and that cooked me. Then I got to the airport for a 4:30 flight that became a 5:15 flight, so that obviously delayed me getting into Melbourne, and then driving down here with my beautiful wife's beautiful daughter, Charlotte, who might be the funniest person I've ever met. I don't know, with the last time either of you had 3 hours in a car with an 18-year-old girl, I literally pissed myself laughing from the start to finish. She gave me a life plan over about half an hour, and it finished with, I want to marry someone really rich. I said, Shashi, join the queue.
Yeah, solid plan.
That's what I said. I said, that sounds like the no plan.
It was a very ambitious flight schedule, though, for JB. In the morning, he announced that 2:25 was looking good. And
if there were no rain delays, I'm making that flight easily.
All I can say, Haydos, is that his daughter-in-law must be very, very funny to get Ray in a good mood driving down there, because he would have had the grumps on.
She's a beauty. Now, Dos, I've got to acknowledge something with you. Back one of the very first episodes of this show, we were casting our eyes and minds forward to this series and what's going to happen and who's going to play well and how tight's it going to be and all the rest of it. I don't know if you remember, Blue Boy, but the big Queenslander said, we can say all of this, but the last however many times they've come here, within 10 days, they've had the white flag up the pole and it's all over. And I sat there thinking, well, that's not going to happen this time. There's no chance that's going to happen. So credit to you, Matty, because that's exactly what you said would happen, and it has happened.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of looked at the series, and maybe it was a bit of a bold prediction. And I certainly didn't think, and maybe still don't think it's going to be 5-0 just because of weather. But yeah, I think they're, and I said this right up front, the Poms are the worst winners and the worst losers. So now we're getting to see the worst losers. Now, I'm not saying that's the boys on the field, but you're seeing, as brilliant as the Barmy Army has been, you jump in a lift with, one of the press corps or just a fan, and they're just, how rubbish are we? Like they've got an enormous cane to their backs, and they're just whipping themselves. But I just sort of felt that this time around that Australia was kind of going to get itself sorted. I was a little worried about the opening spot. Now that's been resolved through the course of this series, and we've got a bit of a Pandora's box stuff happening as well at the moment with, where's Usman, or is Usman going to play? But certainly for mine, Weatherald and Head have settled into that role really nicely. And then we had all the injury concerns, which, threw a lot of spanners in our works, including our two greatest bowlers, really, in essence. So it just shows you how hard Starc has really gone into this.
Well, Bluey, I had a great chat with Mike Atherton, who we've had on this show and we all regard enormously. And I said exactly that to him. I said, Athers, this is 3-0 with no Hazlewood, no Cummins for the first 2 tests, no Lyon for the second test. I said to him, You can't hit, no Steve Smith in this game. You can't hit Australia at a better time, and you're still going to lose the series within 3 tests. I mean, that's got to be for Baz McCullum and Rob Key and Ben Stokes. That's got to be the bit that hits them hardest.
Yeah, it was handed to them on a platter, really, in terms of our personnel issues, particularly the first couple of test matches. Josh Hazlewood, we haven't really spoken about that, I think, the last week or so. Like, he was probably bowling as well as he's ever bowled leading into this test match series. So everyone just felt like he was going to have a huge impact. So we haven't had him. You're right. Pat Cummins, not for the first 2 test matches. And then we turn up to Adelaide, and Stephen Smith has looked probably as good as anyone in the first couple of test matches. Then he's missing, so he goes down. So you're right. And then let's not forget they won the toss in the first couple of test matches as well, which were good tosses to win. We won in Adelaide. That was a good toss to win, obviously. So you're right. Everything that they've planned for over the last 2 or 3 years has just gone pear-shaped. And they've only really turned up the last couple of days of that test match. Before that, we've just been all over them.
But, Blue, the other thing about that toss is that was a really good toss for England to lose as well. They wanted to chase. They didn't want to have to make a decision in Adelaide on a really good batting track. They wanted to bowl Australia out and chase maybe, 330, 340 was maybe in that zone. That didn't happen because of the defiance, once again, of our fast bowlers. They just found a way to get us to a really imposing total. So you're right, that they've been handed opportunities on a platter, and they've been so disappointing. Go right back to the first test match. We were on wood. A defiant second day there from Team England, and Australia are out of that test match. And then you're going up to Brisbane, with a totally different story. So the little shifts in momentum, gosh, they never won any one of those.
Well, let's have a look at that game just played from a South Australian point of view, Bluey. You're a very proud South Australian, and I consider myself in that category as well, even though I wasn't born there. But if you're a member of the Sacca or a South Australian cricket fan, you go along to that game, you see Alex Carey make a magnificent century in a tough batting spot, where we weren't in any way dominant at that point when he came to the crease. And then Travis Head doing what Travis Head has now done for the last 4 tests in Adelaide, making 100 and the celebration and then getting down and smooching the pitch. It was that to use Sam Newman's term, that is Shangri-La for a South Australian cricket fan. It doesn't get any better.
No, and they've been spoiled over the last few years with Trav, playing so well in Adelaide. But it was the double whammy, wasn't it, during this game with Alex Carey, who ended up being the player of the match, and rightfully so. I mean, we all know how dominant Mitchell Starc's been in this series, but without Mitchell Starc, it could well be Alex Carey, the player of the series so far, because he's keeping, and I'm glad you pointed it out the other day too, James, and I got it out of Mark Waugh as well, that he said exactly the same as you have. He said he hasn't seen an Australian wicket keeper. This is any wicket keeper that's played the game for Australia, keep as well as what Alex Carey's done in the last few weeks, which is huge. And then you throw in his batting as well. I think he's averaging over 37 now at Test match cricket. So
over 50 in the last 12 months. And just with that keeping thing, and not only Mark Waugh, who's a great judge, but Brad Haddon, who is himself an extraordinary Australian keeper, said exactly the same thing. He said, I can't remember seeing anybody wicket keep better than Kez is at the moment, and that's huge praise.
And throw in Hilzo as well, because we asked Mark Taylor about that too, and he said, oh, well, I tell you what, Ian Healy was very good to Shane Warne, but he's got Carey right there as well with the way he's keeping at the moment. So that day where the two SA boys put on that great partnership, and then they walked off arm in arm, standing ovation, sellout crowd, beautiful weather. Yeah, it doesn't get any better for us South Australians, but also, you boys love it as well. It was bloody awesome.
They've got to take that photo, blow it up to 5 meters by 3 meter wide, and put it out the back where everyone goes out to get sozzled during the test match, and just have it sitting there so that all South Australians can get themselves a West End and just go, Heady, Kez, this is yours. They've got to do that.
Could we have a little pitch? Maybe it could be sitting in the House of Cricket, You know, we see some of the great
Oh.
portraits of all time that are sitting in the home of cricket. Guys like Viv, Warney, our king.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a bunch of them. But, I mean, that is a pretty iconic moment right there when you sort of think, and we've spoken about it many times on this podcast, our individual memories of certain things. And I mentioned maybe mine was, you know, Simo and myself, you know, at MCG.
Yeah.
So, but that sort of comradeship that you never sense that England really have that. They don't really have that unity. They're a very tribal nation, obviously, but they're very individualistic as well. And oftentimes they're from different countries that just don't quite have that chemistry. And that was just something really unique. You know, they're almost, it was just perfect. It was gold.
Well, so Pat Cummins, we need to touch on as well before we get on to the injuries in the next test. We said it the whole way through the game, Bluey. Australia, for obvious reasons, just look a completely different team when he's playing. His captaincy, his command of the team on the field, but then when he gets the rock in his hand, the whole game changes.
Yeah, to me, it's when he's got the ball in his hand. I was hoping, and it didn't happen yesterday, I was hoping at the start of day 5 he'd take the ball. It was an older ball. There was still, I think, 17 overs to be bowled until the second Newey, but I was hoping he'd take command and get straight into them, because you're right. You know exactly what you're going to get with Pat with his bowling. And he bowled at really good pace in the first innings, up around 144, but it was more about he just gets those important wickets.
Yeah.
He got Joe Root out again in the second innings, and then, of course, you know, Nathan Lyon came on and really broke the back of England. But it was Pat Cummins' work up until then. And he's just so good. He really is. And I know there was a lot of talk about him not playing for 5 months and just coming in and sort of bowling as well as he did. But I think I knew he would, and probably you guys did as well, that he's just that good that he can just come in and he bowls exactly the same every time he bowls. He's sensational.
I think we were kind of waiting. I think we were just waiting for whether he thought it was going to be as good as what it was. You know, like with all that time out of the game, I think Trent Copeland was talking about it, just the time in the nets, but not really having that opportunity to play long format cricket and get that sort of competition type hardness about him. But the second innings for mine, boys, that was the one. I mean, he was brilliant in the first innings where he's 3 for, but he's 3 for in the second innings. And he got, remember, Duckett out early doors, and Ollie Pope, who's just, he looks like, well, I think we could get Ollie Pope out at the moment. That's how bad he's going. And Joe Root, those three, I mean, that's the heart of the run chase. I mean, it had to be a really perfect run chase to get a record-breaking Test cricket chase. So that was game over, really. I mean, the rest was sort of semantics, you know, through the course of the day. But he's an amazing bowler to a left-hander as well. I mean, of all the guys that I sort of watch around the world, Pat would be the one bloke that I wouldn't really fancy facing, because he's just got that ability to be able to, even from around the wicket, get that ball to sort of straighten up. And for us left-handers, that's a nightmare, because you're worried about the ball coming back in. But then if it does, you know, get going the other way, you've got both edges of your bat challenged. And in the modern game, you don't want that to happen. So he was a genius, absolute freak.
We used to have Bluey, Bruce Reid to contend with the same way. Remember, he used to come around the wicket to us right-handers, and it was a complete nightmare, because you're thinking, well, that's either hitting the top of off stump or it's ripping the shoulder of my bat off. The same way. He had this amazing ability to bring it in and just get it to hold on the line. And so I hear what you're saying. Hey,
he ripped my balls off one day, Chook Reid. Don't worry about the shoulder of the bat. He got under the gazunda and cleaned my sack up. We've seen a few sackings, haven't we?
We have.
They've been bad. Stokes, I think his nuts are still rattling from Brisbane. Was that Brisbane?
Well, what about Stokesy, though? He commentates his own ones. Like we've got on Triple M somewhere in the vault, we've got that one where he's giving it the, in the dick.
What about when we had Bumble, of course, this week on Channel 7. So we got the vision up of Tomo hitting Bumble, and he sort of hits him in the nuts, and he gets that sort of freezes for a second, and then he just tumbles over. But then the classic line, and he said it on commentary as well. He
Yeah.
goes, "Please take away the pain, but leave the swelling." How many
Yeah.
times do you reckon? How many times has he rolled that out over the years?
Tomo reckons that delivery has built Bumble 3 different houses. Because he's been telling that story for 40 years. The other one, and I don't want to go down Bluetown, but I'm just quoting, and she wouldn't mind me quoting, was, again, in Triple M, Radzy's got it tucked away somewhere. Elisa Healy in a WBBL copped one in the similar area, and she's given it the, right in the veg.
I haven't heard that one.
I cried laughing.
Soon as I
V-dub
stop
on it.
this, I'm going to search for that.
Mate, it's and you know what a ripper knockabout chick she is. So when it happens, you just go, that is exactly Elisa Healy. It's just sensational. All right, Nathan, I want to touch quickly, Bluey, on Marnus Labuschagne's catching. My God. I mean, Steve Smith comes out. Your instant worry is the runs, that he's going to make, that he's not going to make, obviously, when he doesn't play. But also, we got to replace him at second slip. That's one of the great catching displays you'll see.
I mean, we're all going to remember those 2 diving catches to his left, but how easy did he take the other catches as well? I mean, there was that one off Duckett, Haydos, that flew. I mean, a lot of the balls weren't flying at that stage, but that one flew. And then even that one yesterday, just to finish off the game, was just like so nonchalant and just so perfect in terms of his technique. Yeah, those other 2 catches were they completely changed the momentum each time as well. So thank God he caught that one yesterday because that was just going straight into, you get some perfect vision from behind the bowler. That was just going perfectly into Alex Carey's glove. But fortunately, just freakish. And that were 2 of the best catches you'll ever see.
All right, Dos, what about Nathan
how
Lyon,
poor
mate?
England have been?
Okay,
as well.
keep going.
We've got to touch on this, considering that they've lost the Ashes in 11 days. There's got to be some retribution.
Well, we're going to get to that. Hold that thought
their
for 1
catching
sec.
was pretty average.
Tell me, because we're going to go through England. Don't worry about that. Tell me about Nathan Lyon. I haven't seen yet if there's any confirmation of how bad his hamstring is.
I believe the news coming out of the dressing room was that he's got a 15-centimetre tear in his hamstring, and it will require surgery.
Well, then that's a long term.
We can put a full stop to quite a lot of cricket, and there is quite a lot of cricket coming up. Bowling beautifully, mate. Yeah, and typical, and why I think validated all of our thinking as commentators. And also just spectators of our great game over so many years, just how you need a great spinner in Australia. And we've just been privileged enough to have Lino working away. I mean, it doesn't even matter, first innings, second innings. It's for him, he just finds a way to get wickets. And that's a sign of a great spin bowler. He's dangerous in our conditions. And, we'll go through England very shortly, but they're a dog shit when it comes to their spinning unit.
Well, we're going to miss him because he is a fine cricketer, but who do we replace him with? We've got the goggles, Murphy. We've got Rocchiccioli. I just need someone to tell me exactly how to say that. And Kuhnemann. Bluey, what are your thoughts on who comes in?
Yeah, well, I would probably go with Rocchiccioli because in Australia, he's the most similar to Nathan Lyon in terms of the way the ball comes out. I think his last 2 or 3 seasons have been really, really solid for WA. But word out of the camp, the name I was hearing last night was Murphy. So I think that's the way they're going to go. Apparently he's bowling the house down at the moment. But Kuhnemann, I mean, hasn't done anything wrong either. So I don't know whether they're sort of just penciling Kuhnemann in for when we go to Asia and sort of more spin friendly conditions. So
Murphy travelled to Sri Lanka?
No, I don't believe so. He might have been in the squad.
I chatted to him in Brisbane at the Qantas Club on the way out. He's a ripper bloke, by the way, Gogs. And he said they're coming out really well, really pleased with the way he bowled in the Shield games. I like him. I think he's got a lot about him that is going to work for Australia. It can hold the game, but it'll be interesting because England have now got absolutely 0 to lose. So I imagine that their batting is going to go back to what it was at the start of the Perth Test. They'll get it. They'll be as reckless as ever because they'll be thinking, well, bugger it, we've already lost the series. So it'll be interesting, whoever of those three play, how they are handled by this English team, Dos, which we have to get to. Now, what the hell? I mean, Root, yes. Stokes, yes. Archer, yes.
Yes, Stokes.
Yep. Yeah, I'm giving Stokes because he's battled his ass off. He hasn't had a commanding series, and he's had some stuff that we've looked at and thought, why didn't he bowl, etc. But he's at least been there for the fight. But outside of those three,
he's played as a beaten favourite, I reckon. I know that sounds really hard. I'll just put it through the eyes of Scotty Boland for a start. You know, Scotty Boland, as magnificent as he is in that Test match that we saw in Melbourne, taking 7 for, you know, that was really the legacy of Scotty Boland. He became a cult figure after that. He then went over to England and he got smoked. He couldn't bowl him, basically. England just commanded, you know, this great presence and they just smashed him out of the tack. Now suddenly, and this is why I'm confused about the leadership of Stokesy. And I agree, look, he's a really hard nut. He's a quality trier. There's no doubt about that. But strategically, whether he just didn't trust his players enough or whether he just thought that he had to be, you know, so dogged in his approach, to me, he still has let someone like Scott Boland bowl, which is pretty much exactly what he wants. And, you know, he's going at 2.5s and over through this Test series and taking wickets as well. So, you know, you have to put, I think Ben has to put some accountability on his own head to say that maybe I needed to be a bit more of the person that is in this Bazball era, as much as I know they hate that, that's going to come out and start to flay Australia apart. See, to me, they got shell-shocked after Perth and they went away golfing and they didn't find their feet back in Brisbane. They were shell-shocked again. Now, Adelaide was a great wicket and a batting wicket, as we all know. There just wasn't enough intent from any one of them, including Stokes. That's why I wanted to, you know, mention him. He just didn't find his tempo or didn't find the courage on the field of battle this time to really have and put Australia to the sword. And that's cost England in my book.
Can I just say too, I love the way Ben Stokes plays his cricket, right? The way he talks in the press is shocking, I reckon. We might get to that a little bit later as well. Because I thought his press conference last night just sort of came across as being sour grapes and bit sooky. But where the hell was he on day 3 when they needed him, when they really needed him? Like we talk about how tough he is and then when the 4th day, when Australia were already 350 runs in front, he charged in like it was the first Test match of the summer. And yes, they gave us a bit of a scare yesterday, but day 3 afternoon, when Jax was going at 5 runs and over and still kept bowling, where the hell was Stokes? Where was the big tough Stokesy then when they needed him, when everything was on the line?
Yeah, I'm glad you're ripping him in mates. There a bit, Blue.
He's had some mates. He's at least been up for the fight with the bat. And he's had to try and dig him out every time he's batted, pretty much, because the top order have completely capitulated in front of him, to the point where Punter repeatedly said he's got about 3. He can't come in at 6 when it's all, you know, been destroyed ahead of him. But the rest, I mean, Pope, Duckett, you know, Brook, he batted okay in this game, but, you know, where have they been? Like, what are we calling that? I mean, they're 3-0 down without having almost fired a shot.
Their start mechanisms, I don't think are great. They're kind of in between a rock and you can see what Duckett's intent is to do, and that's to come out and score quickly and heavily. But I just sense that you've got to still follow the golden rule of batting here in this country with the new ball, and that is that you've got to be a bit of a buff remover. Heady does it really well, right? Like he comes to the crease. We know that he's got the intent to score quickly and score heavily as the game goes on, but he still finds his way, you know, through those first 4 or 5 overs. I mean, Duckett, the way that he gets out, especially when you think back to that second innings where he's just hanging the bat under pressure, trying to find a way. I mean, that's the 101s of opening the batting in this country. I get the feeling we're going to see more of Duckett. I don't.
No,
Like his
I think
first
we will.
innings was pretty good. You know, his strike rate, his scoring efforts, and the way that he constructs his innings beyond his first 20 balls. If I was him, I'd be going, look, I need to have a slightly different strategy inside the first, 5-6 overs, and then I can unleash hell at the back end of that.
So, Bluey, if you got the great Greg Chappell, if you're Rob Key and Baz McCullum, and you think, right, I want someone to sit down with our batting group and just talk to them about the real basics of playing cricket in Australia, and you got the great man, and he would do it, and you said, right, just come and sit down and talk us through. I reckon the very first thing GC would say would be get your hands in tight to your body and do not try and drive on the rise outside your eye line. Play the ball back down the pitch, give yourself 30 or 40 balls of playing straight as you can, and then when you get in, you can expand your game. They don't do that. You shut your eyes, you can see all of the top six with their hands way outside their body, trying to take the ball on the rise and just feeding the slip cordon. I mean, I don't want to sound, like too harsh, but it's 101 test batting in this country.
That's exactly what Haydos just said. Like, you just, if it's not a complete flatty, which you get sometimes, maybe in a second innings, and it might be Adelaide, or this is going back in time, not during this series. And we saw it from Crawley in the second innings, actually. Like, he has been as guilty as anyone about coming out, driving on the up. But in that second innings in Adelaide, he actually changed his blueprint a little bit. I reckon he might have been 3 off of about 30 balls. And that's what we've seen from Travis Head as well. He's done exactly the same thing. And then once the ball gets a little bit softer and then Crawley looks like the player that they think he is. So that's the blueprint in Australia. And that's exactly what Haydos was saying. Duckett hasn't adjusted. Pope has looked like he's trying to play it. I don't think his natural game is to come out and play shots. Like, he looks like a bit of a grafter to me, but he's tried to fit into this Bazball like Joe Root did a couple of times, and a couple of years ago, and he realised that wasn't his go. So, I just think the basic blueprint hasn't been followed, especially with conditions here in Australia.
Just take you back to probably one of my favourite first class innings and my favourite test innings. First class innings was Dean Jones up in Brisbane with a great Queensland bowling attack. And he did not play a cover drive for a day and a half. He just went, no way. Adam Dale, you can bowl 2 foot outside off stump, but I ain't playing it. Mate, at some point, you're going to have to come to me, and then I'll own you. My favourite innings here in Australia for an opposition side was Sachin Tendulkar, remember, in Sydney when he got that magnificent double 100. And look, he'd realise that as great a player as he was, like Virat Kohli, just in the last summer here, he kept on getting out, hanging the bat outside off stump. For a great player, he failed to accept the fact that is your danger zone here in Australia. And Sachin just went, bud, pitch, good luck, mate. But sooner rather than later, after 5.5 hours, you're going to have to bowl at me. And then, as you know, on our very good batting wickets, because we do have very good batting wickets if you follow the rules. If you bowl straight and if you come at a batter here, how easy is it to just go clunk, and you get great value for shots as well, and you build pressure over time. This England team has not accepted that you need to bat multiple sessions without wickets. In fact, both sides I could accuse of that. I think there's only been 2 sessions in this 3 test match series so far where there hasn't been a wicket lost. And Australia has not. They haven't been in that situation apart from this last, well, it was Carey and Head, wasn't it? So, there's just batting the basics as you go back to GC. The basics are that you bat a long period of time, and then scoring and scoring rate go hand in hand. It becomes so much easier. They're trying to cheat their way out. Ben Duckett right now and Ollie Pope have tried to sort of cheat their way out. Cheat's not the right word, but find an easy way out to the start processes of an innings.
Well, and defend back down the pitch. Don't defend a cover
Boom.
point. Yeah, you said it. The
Straight
maker's
back.
name. Show the
How
whole
many?
Kookaburra or Grey Nichols. Yeah, I know that. All right, so what does Bethell? Does Bethell play? This is a man who's never made a first-class century, Bluey, but do they have to swing the changes, and does he have to come in?
Yeah, well, I've been they've got him in mind as a future star. So I'm have got a bit of an issue with him, playing Test match cricket without a first-class 100. But having said that, I think he's got to come in because, 3-0 down. They've got to start making some changes, surely. So I'd like to see him coming in at number 6. And then I would probably like to see Harry Brook go to number 3. Now, he is, along with Joe Root, he's their best player. And I know they're going to say, but he's been so good at number 5. But let him be great at number 3 as well, because that's what they need at the moment. They need something there. If they lose an early wicket, they need someone there just to steady things down and let the middle order do their thing. So that would be the
You're
change.
removing Pope.
I'm dropping Pope. Yes. That's what I'm doing.
The only difference I'd have there is I would have Stokes. If he's batting the way that he is gone about his Test series so far, Stokes can do that role. He can bat long periods of time. He doesn't have to go after the ball. You need someone at that point. If you imagine throwing a young Bethell in at number 3, or even Harry Brook, for example, who he's a natural stroke maker. He's our Travis Head. And that was my concerns with having Trav up top as well, that it's not always going to look pretty, on seaming wickets, having your stroke maker go up the top of the order. So Brook, for mine, is a genuine number 5 player where you can just let him sit. The trouble is, Blue, they have had nothing from their top 3. I mean, Crawls has showed us a little bit, so inconsistent in the top 3. And look, guys, we know it, don't we, in Australia? 2 for 30. If you're that, you've got an opposition on the run 100% of the time.
What about Australia?
I think Brook's I just want to finish off on that note really quickly. I think Brook is that good that he could easily handle number 3. And I'm probably, Dos, thinking a little bit more long-term as well. Like, yes, I thought Stokes should have batted 3 this Test match. I reckon they just missed a bit of an opportunity there. But I think long-term Stokes can't bat at 3 unless he, isn't bowling in a couple of years' time, maybe.
Does Usman play for Australia in the next game? What are we going to do outside of the spinner obviously having to come in? What do we do with our batting lineup?
Go, Blue.
Yeah, I've got Usman in my side. I have. So Weatherald stays in, Heady stays up the top. Then I've got Marnus at 3, Smith coming back in at number 4. I've got Uzi at 5. And then I'd leave Carey at 6. And then Green gets demoted for me. He hasn't done enough. So he comes back down to number 7 as the genuine all-rounder. And then you've got your bowlers after that. So sounds like Boland's going to play. Starkey wants to play, which is great. And
Carey?
then
Cummins?
Yeah, Cummins isn't going to play. He's basically ruled himself out already. I don't think we'll see him for the next 2 Test matches. I think they'll just put him on ice and get him cherry ripe for whatever other cricket's coming up. The only other one is, I suppose, Neeser, Doggett, and Jai Richardson. Now, it's going to be a bit tough on this because, again, I'm looking a little bit ahead now. I'm sort of wanting to see what our team's going to evolve into over the next 12 months, 24 months. And I think Jai Richardson might be a big part of that. So I'm giving him a game if he's fit and ready to go.
I like that thinking, Blue. When you've won an Ashes series, and we all know just how big an Ashes series is. If you lose, it costs careers. England have lost 26 of the 50 players that have been out in this country to that's the last time they've ever played. And some big names like Joss Butler, James Swan, never to play Test cricket for England. When it comes to Australia now, we can reset, we can rebuild, we can refocus because the number's 21 tests in the next year, which is a lot of Test cricket. So there's going to be some turnover in the bowlers, you assume, as well, along with what we've already seen in Cummo and Starc and Hazlewood. How much can we keep relying on Scotty Boland as well to just be that absolute barrel-chested beauty that we've got to know over the last couple of years of sitting on the bench and then coming in and out of the team? English is the one that's got – you haven't got English in your team, right? No, so Inglis goes out. He is our spare wicket keeper in essence, and a beauty as well, by the way. Like, sort of, I don't think we've seen the best of him, but especially as a player, a spin bowler, I think he's just got superb feet. So maybe more of a subcontinental specialist as well. Yeah, Green, I've got question marks over, just because I would like to see Greenie come into a series a lot more exposed from his bowling sense, because as you said, if you're going to demote him to number 7, Blue, and I'm not arguing with that, he is a bowling all-rounder, not a batting all-rounder, which means that, you've got Bo Webster, who I would say would be more of a batting all-rounder as your option. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, probably. Yep.
So that's the sort of slight changes, and if we haven't got a genuine spinner that's ready and also up to the standard, then a venue, for example, like Melbourne, where they traditionally do on Boxing Day leave quite a lot of grass on it, it may suit that kind of batting and bowling all-rounder, just showing that up in the wind as well. Yeah, so I don't know about Usman. I think it's time. I love Usman and what he's done for Australian cricket. He was superb also. He looks the player that of our generation. He looks the player that makes runs the easiest. But we are looking in a cycle now that we've won the Ashes of what does our next team look like, and that's where we're at.
All right, we're going to move away from that series and that selection discussion for the next game, and I'm going to take you inside the Channel 7 commentary circle and expose Dos some behaviour that was a long, long way from on speed.
There's lots of that.
There's
there is.
Little Tasmanian.
It's getting really shabby.
There's a little Tasmanian who is a shite stirrer. That's what he is. He just stirs the pot. He just gets. I'll tell you what happened. So we have to get there extraordinarily early on day one, like ridiculously early. But we all
3 hours before ball one.
It has never made one scintilla of sense to me why the hell we all have to get to the ground that early, but we do. But from then on, you can get there later. So what happens is the Tasmanian continues to get there at his time, and that's fine. That's up to him. But he then gets his beady little eyes on who else gets there at a different time. And this test match, day 3, I come out of the Oval Hotel, I walk out, and Hoffy, the groundsman, and Big Todd are out in the middle. So I'm standing out there talking to them for about 10 minutes about a whole lot of different stuff. They're both sensational blokes. Then the phone rings in my pocket, and I ignore it because I'm in the middle of a conversation. Dos, I walk off, and I see our beautiful Chief of Staff, Lexi, has rung me. And I knew I was about to walk in and see her anyway. So I said, Lex, you rang me. What's up? She goes, I just couldn't see you anywhere, and I was wondering where you were and when you were going to arrive at the ground.
Yeah.
I said, Lex, I have been around the block many, many, many times.
We know that.
I said, let me just put a scenario to you, and I said, your face will tell me all I need to know. Did a tiny little Tasmanian come up to you and report on the fact that he hadn't seen me yet?
So,
and this huge
report
grin,
or dob?
Huge grin came over her face, and I said, and is there a tiny little chicken-legged South Australian right behind him making sure that he said that to you? And she smiled even wider. I said, Lex, they are dribblers. I will never let you down. I will always be here for you.
Dribblers.
So ignore Ponting, ignore Blewett, because they are trouble-making shit stirrers. Am I wrong? No, clearly. There's no defence of yourself.
No defence at all.
I thought you were going to Big Dos because you wanted a bit more.
It was your time to shine. Mate, I haven't got chicken legs. I've got hocks, not chicken legs.
Hang on. The fact that, so you were late. Is that what you're saying?
No, I was on the grounds talking to the groundsman. So
it doesn't matter whether you're on the ground. You need to be in the change rooms.
No,
get ready to get for the day's play. the fact that you're out there talking to the groundsman's got absolutely nothing to do with it for a
Means
start.
I'm on time
No, you're
in
not,
the ground.
because you're not
JB,
in the rooms.
well-
and poor old Lexi, she's worried about people
No,
not
she's
turning
not.
up on time, and it's
She's
wankers
responding to your
like you
snipe,
that
you
stuff it up for
and
everyone else.
Ponting's troublemaking. That's what she's responding to. Look at the mush on him.
All-
Dos, have a look
yeah.
at it.
All,
Hey,
mate,
I noticed
all I
that
heard
Dos was
is
just
dribble.
rolling in any time he wanted as well towards the end of the
Anytime.
test.
Unashamedly, I am not turning up 3 hours before the start of play. I'm sorry. There's not
No
enough money.
trouble.
There's not enough money for a start, but
Exactly
also
right.
I don't really want to be with you blokes that much in the morning of a game. And I
See, I
certainly
do. I
Mate,
actually like you blokes. I want to be
don't need
around you more.
3 hours to change into a suit. I don't need that.
All right. So let's move on from that bit of disgraceful behaviour
Yeah, disgraceful.
to another bit of disgraceful behaviour, and that is day 5. Bluey and I are in the Triple M commentary box,
Yeah.
and sitting between us is a former very smooth middle order batsman for New South Wales, who was a twin of a former Australian captain and a man everyone knows and loves, Mark Junior Waugh. And we're in the middle of a commentary stint, Bluey, and then a waft hit our nostrils that basically parted my hair. But it singed all the hairs, eyebrows. He dropped a bomb that cleared the commentary box.
On air. Now, listen, so Haydos, you know exactly what it's like, right? So you've got your headphones on and you've got all the audio coming through. But I mean, my hearing's not the best at times, but I was sitting next to him and I heard something and I was like,
Oh, no.
no, surely not. That's not.
Couldn't be.
And then I saw him put his finger up like that going, oh, that's out.
Giving it. He's giving it.
He's given it himself. He's dobbed himself in. And then
Mr. Brown.
Then the laughter and then the stench was like,
Oh, my
you're
God.
right. Like he's either a bit clogged up or there's something going on. But and then he got the giggles and he but you're right.
This is the same bloke that
Disgraceful.
was complaining about mustard on his mic, right?
Yeah, that's him. No, that's him. And Dos, the thing where I knew how guilty he was is almost immediately he went into get back to the cricket, you blokes. Start focusing on the cricket, you blokes.
Yeah.
Game of cricket going on here, so
Deflection.
you knew how guilty he was. All right, radar time. Who's first? Do you want me to open the batting with what's on your radar? Or
Yeah, you then, Haydos.
All right, here we go. So, England have been nowhere. Nowhere in this series. They've been whitewashed again for the 3rd straight Ashes series in Australia, and they've been really poor. But I want to give a big tick to the Barmy Army. They have been magnificent. And in this game, it was 40 degrees on day 2. Not one of them budged from the hill, which we all know is the hottest part of the Adelaide Oval. They were singing Jerusalem. They were belting out Barmy Army songs, and they were supporting their team superbly for the whole game, even though for most of it looked like they were going to lose. I give them huge credit, but they also gave me yesterday a moment where you laugh out loud, and that is a bit of rain started to sprinkle down. They're thinking, could we save this game somehow? The umps don't move. The rain gets a little bit stronger, and then suddenly the umpires look like they're coming together, and you hear en masse the whole army, yeah! Absolutely erupted when the ump said we're going off. And for me, that is quality. So they are on my radar in a very positive way.
What about the way they picked up their own rubbish at the end of the day?
I was going to bring that up too.
I got Jolie to get some, our producer, to get some shots, but they had about 15 bags of rubbish. Can you imagine on that day, 40-degree heat, singing your heart out all day, watching your team get absolutely pulverised and still having the presence of mind to pick up rubbish? That's gold.
Yeah, Brayshaw can't even put his coffee cup in the bin, let alone clean up after everyone else.
The Barmy Army.
Selective hearing.
I'm not listening to that. He knows that's garbage. He's now making stuff up to try and claw some ground back after his own disgraceful behaviour. All right, Big Dos, what's on your radar?
Oh, well, mine's a little serious this week. I was tempted to go down the radar of what's on my radar, which is obvious Christmas. But Snicko is possibly having one of the, as a provider of our great game, it is having one of the worst weeks, to the point now where it's got this massive conjecture around pointing the finger around whom's responsible for it, whom's commercially viable, and has to pay the money, and where this whole debacle needs to be unpacked. And it's coming to life on air in front of us. Some of the absolutely horrendous inconsistencies and some of the gaping holes in our great cricketing landscape of on-field and off-field umpiring. So the soft signal, gone, and needs to come back. Hawkeye, in my opinion, broadcasting all over the world is the best technology. So I'll give you one perfect example. So it's the Stokes dismissal, where you can see that it's basically broken the fingers of Stokes. Snicko has it just vanished. Basically, it's got about 15 frames behind. But Hawkeye, what it does is it attaches also to the trajectory of the ball. So we all know if that hit the helmet of Ben Stokes, that would have sailed to the boundary for 4 byes. But Snicko doesn't recognise that. So not only do they get it wrong up in the third box, and Chris Gaffney is a very good umpire, but it also doesn't tell the story of what happens to the ball. Now, you and I and the third umpire should, or the umpire on field should know this. If that hits his gloves, his gloves, then, and the ball dies like it did, trajectory with Hawkeye's technology is so much better because it allows you to see exactly what's happening to the ball after it's hit. So I think it's opened up Pandora's box. I would like to see Snicko removed from any further part in the Australian summer, and it needs to be very well sought out after whom's going to be responsible for the payment, but also the consistencies across our game. You can't have a World Test Championship without a consistent bloody model of umpiring and standard of technology. It's ridiculous.
All right, fit. That's a strong radar. Bluey?
Okay, yeah. Oh, I think, just to add to that, I think we need hotspot involved as well, because that would take
Of course we do.
Well,
Yeah.
that is a cost thing,
Of course we
though.
do.
That is 100% a cost thing. They just
Yeah,
don't want to pay
correct.
the money to provide it.
Yeah.
All right, what's on your radar, Blue Boy?
Well, as you know, I've been extremely courageous since I've had my unfortunate
Oh,
injury 3 weeks ago. I can't see any of you guys doing what I've done the last couple of weeks. And I
Commendable.
must
no,
say,
I'm not commendable. No.
No. Okay.
everyone has been really helpful. So whenever I'm walking past someone, they're always like trying to get out of my way and can we carry something for you? And so I just wanted to highlight how appreciative I am to everyone's well wishes and trying to help me out. But if I hear one more time, what injury have you done? And I say, I've torn my Achilles. And then they say to me, oh, that's an old man's injury. If I hear that one more time,
That's true.
Haydos, JB,
Mm.
I'm going to explode. And I'll tell you what else happened the other day on my plane flight. The hostie, a male hostie, ended up calling me. He came up to me and he said, because it's on my left Achilles. He said, can I get you a drink, lefty?
Lefty Jack.
So if I hear lefty or old man's injury one more time, look out.
I think you need to be exposed a bit more, Blue, and the team did try and get this truth out of you, but it's an unanswered question of just how much cash you were carrying for that one game, and I haven't got one ball. I haven't got a substantial answer, JB, and that's disappointing, I think.
Well, there's a couple of things here for me. Firstly, he's my oldest mate, Dos. I haven't given him one bit of help at all. and by the way, neither am I going to. So we had Ponting 4 years ago with the same injury. I gave him no help either. I'm like,
no, you're
box on,
picking me
champ.
up. You are picking me up every morning from my hotel and getting me to the MCG because I can't walk.
Not going to be doing that.
Yes.
So
Yes,
that's
you
the
are.
first thing. No help from me. And secondly, I think Big Dos, he's banging on way too much side, as my old man used to say. You're walking around like this. He's got the head bobbing. I can't. I'm like, mate, get on with it.
And
you
the
got
new
moon boot on.
complaints.
You haven't been amputated.
The new complaints as well, JB. It's the
my
hip
God.
now. It's the dodgy
Oh,
hammer and tack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's
You
just
reckon
there's,
thrown
it's a
out.
knock
reckons
on.
his calf has shrunk? I said, not possible. There was no calf there to begin with.
Oh,
It can't have
sorry.
shrunk.
Sorry, Arnie Schwarzenegger there.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
All right. So I'm going to finish. Actually, I've got a final rater. I'm going to travel all the
double
way
dip.
back to.
Double
well,
dip.
I'm going all the way back to the commentary box thing because I'd forgotten a bit, and that is these two dribblers, Ponting and Blewett, had their fun with it, and then the next day, the other little tiny idiot that we work with thinks, "Oh, I'm going to join this party as well." So I'm standing there, and Ponting goes, "Were you late again today?" I'm like, "Well, no, I wasn't. I actually wasn't late at all. I had no suit to wear. I had no suit to wear because Bumble put my suit on. So I had to stand down there in my jocks, which the ladies didn't need to see until Bumble returned my bloody suit. So I wasn't late. Anyway, so while I'm having this discussion with these two idiots, the other little idiot from Western Australia turns around and goes, "Yeah, you're late again." I said to him, "I walked into the ground with you, you clown. Like, we walked in together." No, we didn't. I said, "Mate, we walked
He has amnesia,
onto
Alfie, doesn't
the
he?
ground together with the two of us." So I said, "We weren't late, but if we were late, you were also late, you halfwit."
Made you late as well.
Honestly, what am I dealing with?
Muppets. Absolute
Well,
Muppets.
I'll tell you what about
That's
the
why I
quiz
stay
we
back
did?
at the hotel.
What about the quiz we did? Did he answer one?
No, not one.
Stumped. No.
Well, and the only one he did
I didn't
answer
either.
was which cricketer went by the nickname of Swampy, and the only reason he got to answer it is because the Poms said Rod Marsh, and then he goes, No, me, Jeff Marsh. And Jeff Marsh is arguably his best mate. So that was it. We got nothing else out of him. My mates Bluey were texting me saying, "Does JL plan to answer a question, or is he just a wall hanging?"
It was a cardboard cutout of him.
And
Oh,
compared
my
to,
God.
and the other thing is, compared to the size of his body, he has. I think his head's actually getting bigger. So it's clearly got nothing between left and right here either. Huh?
Oh, no. What are we dealing with? All right, boys.
Enormous.
Go and have the best Christmas ever. I know you're going to
have a
Doss
great
over
Christmas.
on Stratty.
Yeah.
Go and enjoy that with your beautiful family. And Blue Boy, we had your sons in the box and your beautiful daughter Taylor, who I haven't seen for way too long.
Yeah.
Great catching up with T-Bag and Joyce, your wife. So go and have a magnificent Christmas day with them.
Yep. Same to you guys and all
enjoy,
your families and all our followers. So, have a great Christmas.
Yeah.
I've got
Enjoy,
most
everyone.
of my family here, which includes 4 boys between the age of 21 and 18. And my God, I went down to the garage today to get a coffee machine out of it, and there was that much alcohol just planted all over the floor, all over the table. They were playing poker till 3 a.m. and none of them, when they got up this morning, could utter any words. That they were mutes, all of them. So anyway, that looks like my Christmas. Hey, great work all over Bar the Cricket. Get a hold of it on Instagram and make sure you follow wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, and subscribe to the YouTube channel because we love your company. Great Christmas, everyone. Well done, boys. We'll see you after
Merry
Melbourne.
Christmas. See ya.